welcome back to Cooking with Kenny. Today I'm going to make a chicken pot pie. So let's just get into the ingredients. It's not too many and it's just a really good recipe, so I'm excited to share this with you. So I am going to use a split breast. That's a chicken breast, bone in with skin on. I'm going to cook this, roast, season it, and cook it. When you have the bone on, it gives you more flavor. And then I'm going to shred it up and put it in the pie. The vegetables I'm going to use is just a frozen vegetable blend. This is carrots, peas, sorry, not peas, because I do not like peas, carrots, corn, and green beans. So I do not put peas in my pot pie because I think that they are nasty, but you do what you like. If you like peas, go ahead and add them. Then I'm going to add a yellow onion. You're going to need a little flour. Of course, your pie crust. I do a 2 pie crust pot pie, so crust on the bottom, crust on top. And then you're going to need some heavy whipping cream, some chicken broth, a little butter, poultry seasoning, black pepper, salt, garlic powder, and onion powder. So I am going to cook my chicken breast and the Ninja Foodi on air crisp. I'm going to season them up, put them there on air crisp. If you don't know what the Ninja Foodi is, I do have a video where I cooked ribs in it and I gave an overview of all that it can do. It's my favorite gadget. Here it is right here. I love it. I don't even have to put this in the oven. Pretty much the Foodi has replaced my oven. So check that video out if you want to learn a little bit more about it. So let's just get right into it and start cooking. Okay, so I washed my chicken breast. I'm going to keep the skin on because I think it gives it more flavor. The skin on these breasts are not very thick. As you can see, it has the bone in. So now we're just going to season up the chicken. So I'm seasoning my chicken with some salt. I'm using pink Himalayan salt. You want to be liberal because chicken needs salt. So don't skimp on it. Be liberal with your salt. Okay. I'm also going to use some onion powder. Some garlic powder. I'm liberal with my seasoning, guys. I like seasoned food. And pepper. And this one is very important because it's going to give your chicken pot pie good flavor. So you want to use poultry seasoning. And you want to pat these seasonings in and then season the other side as well. Okay, and then turn it over and do the same thing on the other side. So the last thing you want to do is rub some butter on top. This is going to help it get nice and brown in the air fryer. Just rub it in best you can. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can just actually put little pats of butter on top. It'll all melt in really nicely. It helps if your butter is softened as well. Okay, so I put these in the air fryer. I just spritzed it with a little bit of olive oil. That's optional. And then I'm going to put this on air crisp for about 25 minutes. You want to do your chicken a little earlier than when you're going to make your pot pie because you want your chicken to cool a little bit so you can shred it up to add it to your mixture. This is how the chicken will look once it is done, nice and crispy. So I'm going to let it cool so that we can shred it up for the pie. Okay, so let's get started on the filling. I have a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan. To that, we're going to add our chopped onion. And we're going to add all of our frozen veggies. So you're going to want to cook this for a few minutes until the veggies, you know, are not frozen and they just get a little bit, you don't want to get a lot of caramelization on it, but you just want to cook them down a little bit. So cook it probably for about 5 to 7 minutes.
So I had a little malfunction with my camera, so I'm going to do a little voice over here and just let you know that I shredded the chicken and I added it to the vegetable mixture that I cooked for about 10 minutes or so. Like I said, I don't want to get too much color on it, but you do want to cook it down enough where it's thawed out and you cook the vegetables down a little bit. So now we will move on to the next step.
Okay, so now we're going to add the butter. Now all the measurements again are in the description box. And so you want your butter to melt. Once that melts, we'll add the flour to make a roux. So now that the butter has melted, we're going to add the flour. And you're going to want to cook this for about a minute because you want to cook out the raw flour taste. So just stir it up. And it's going to get a little pasty on you, and that's what you want. And just cook it for about a minute, then we're going to add our stock. Alright, so now let's add our stock. Okay, now I'm going to season. You want to bring this to a boil and let it simmer for about 15 minutes, but I'm going to season mine with a little poultry seasoning. You don't want to add anything that has salt in it because chicken stock is salty. So a little poultry seasoning. I'm going to add a little garlic. And a little onion powder. So once this comes to a boil, we're going to simmer it for 15 minutes. And the sauce will thicken up. So while that is simmering and cooking, you want to prepare your pie crust. Now I do a 2 pie crust pot pie because I like crust. I know traditionally I think they just use the top crust, but since I'm using a bottom crust, I like to pre-bake my bottom crust a little bit just so it helps with it getting soggy. So you want to make sure you leave your pie crust out for about 15 minutes because you want them sort of room temperature. If you try to bake them cold, they will shrink up on you in the oven. So all I do is just lay my bottom crust in the bottom of the pan. And you'll want to make sure that you press it good into your pie plate. And there's no air pockets. That'll also help with it shrinking in the oven. Okay, so we're just going to press it. Once you have it pressed in really good, you're just going to prick it, the bottom, so it doesn't puff up on you. And you're going to cook these according to the package direction for your pie crust just for about 6 minutes at the most. You don't want to cook it all the way because it's going to have to go back in the oven, but just a little bit. And it should just be still a light pale color, 5 to 6 minutes. Keep your eye on it. Make sure you don't cook it too long. And again, this creates a barrier so that the bottom crust doesn't get soggy. Okay, so the sauce has thickened up really nicely. So now we're just going to add our heavy cream. And then you're going to let this cook for about 10 more minutes. And that'll be it. And we'll be ready to add it to the pie crust. So let it simmer for about 10 more minutes. Okay, so now we're going to pour our mixture into the pie pan. telling you, this mixture is so flavorful. Don't forget to add your poultry seasoning to the stock, because that makes it taste even better. Okay, so now it's all in there. So the only thing left to do is add the top crust. Now, I don't get fancy with the crust, y'all. I pretty much just lay it on top and tuck it in. Because, you know, the mixture is hot, so I just kind of I'm rustic with it. I just fold it in, press it to the pan. Because you don't want, you know, filling might seep out a little bit, and that's fine. So you just want to tuck it into the best you can. Alright, so that looks good. Last thing you want to do is you want to make sure you make a slit in it, because you don't want it to explode. If you don't do that, it might explode. And so we're going to put this in the oven. Probably cook it for about 20 minutes. Check it after 20 minutes. It should be nice and brown and ready to go. I just wanted to mention, I do recommend that you put it on a cookie tray, just because it might bubble over the sides, which I kind of like when it does that, because it makes it look nice and rustic. So just to protect your oven, put it on a cookie tray. So here you go, hot and bubbly right out of the oven. It looks so good. It smells so good in here. You're going to want to let it sit for about 10 minutes or so before you cut it. And I hope you make this recipe and enjoy it as much as I do. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.